do a problem, so this is number 2 on the partner quiz, I think about it with a sketch. Okay, so if I have the segment TD, that's what this is saying below, as an altitude, so altitude being right here, segment TD, I'm going to make equilateral triangle tri, and T has to be at the starting point. So if I think about it, I could make an equilateral triangle just with a simple construction. And since it's equilateral, though that didn't look so equilateral, looks a little more equilateral, the altitude in this case is the same as an angle bisector. So I should bisect my angle, and then I'm going to mark off the length of my altitude. A lot of people got to there, and where the mistake was made is after you find this point, you need to do a perpendicular right there. That's where the mistake was made, so you lost points. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just first make a 60-degree angle. So I don't need, like this red equilateral triangle isn't necessarily going to be the right size. The purpose of that is to get a 60-degree angle. So I'm going to put my compass over here. I'll get the size after I get the altitude. And I'm going to just make a 60-degree angle, which is the same construction as an equilateral triangle. So I put my compass where I, remember you always make a new when you get an intersection from your previous construction, you use it. So this creates the 60-degree angle of my triangle tri. And then I'm going to put my compass, so I'm going to bisect that angle. So it might help you guys if I put in like a ray to show you where, along what path is my side going to be drawn. It's going to eventually be along this path, because that's a 60-degree angle. But I don't know how long it is. Does that make sense so far? Now I'm going to bisect that angle, because I know my altitude, since it's an equilateral triangle, is also an angle bisector. So I just put my compass here, because I already made a mark. And I'm going to bisect my angle to figure out the path of my altitude. So my second ray is going to be the path along which my altitude is drawn. So those should be starting in the same place. See if I can pick that up and do that. Okay. Does that make sense so far? Now I'm going to use the altitude length. So let's go back up and pick up the length of the altitude right here. So open my compass to the proper length. And I'm going to mark off that length. And so I know the altitude length is right there. Now I have to make a perpendicular about that red mark to figure out where the base of the triangle intersects the green ray and the original black line. So I'm going to just draw a circle, you know, or put little arc marks here. It's funny how I'm going to shorten that up and start again so it doesn't hit the black. So I'm going to just mark the little arc marks there and use these endpoints, just like that homework problem last night was one of the matchings, right? To make a perpendicular through a point on a line. Now I'm going to open this up, and make a perpendicular that goes through this point where the pin of my compass is by swinging an arc. Oops, wrong place. Yeah, no, I'm going to the little endpoints that I made.
Yeah, and swing arc below.
Below and above.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, in this case, I only need one because I have that base. I like to put them both in anyway for my accuracy. Just, it's kind of a good habit. I have the red mark. So now I'm going to pick up a segment, and I know that my base should be passing through these points. So my triangle then, I'm going to just shade it in so you can see the final answer. My triangle is starting here, goes to there, over to here, back to where it starts. I sort of this hit on point T, but you can see what you're supposed to be looking at. And you're supposed to label it. T, R, I. So on the test, I will say the directions, maybe if I ask you something like that, given segment TD below as the altitude, construct an equilateral triangle TRI with I on the ray with T. What's so funny?
Oh, Marissa and I.
You worked around it, right? So the reason I'm saying that is I want you to make it even be forced into that. Like, I'm going to force you more to stay on this ray, and some of you were clever enough to find the faults in my directions, and you were able to make it an easier problem than it was, which is problem-solving skills too. But be careful, because I'm going to tighten those directions up. So that would be good to practice even if you don't need corrections, just to go back and do that. So I'll post that